Hi, I'm Eric, and this is Platform. This is a place where ideas are discussed and examined. Before we begin, we'll show you some bio on each of our guests. I'll be interviewing them one at a time, and we'll edit their thoughts into a final program. Please enjoy the lovely elevator music from our house band as we introduce each of our guests. Today we're going to talk about art. My first question is, why do people make art?
I make art to explore who I am.
What have you found out so far?
That I'm a work in progress, which is a good thing. Because I think if you ever get where you're going, you might just, might as well just sit down and die.
Yeah.
You have to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I do it to express the deepest inner emotional landscape that I can find within myself. Because on a day-to-day basis, I find it really difficult to communicate that. And I love the discipline and the focus. And I love the process when things start to grow and you can feel it coming to life and something is happening, and you feel like that life is kind of magical. And I love to be in the inspired creative space.
For me, I do because I can't do anything else. I have to do,
You have to.
yeah.
You just have to.
And I have to be creative, whether it was music or dance or it just,
You've done all those other things?
but it was art that stayed with me and that I finally found my focus and my groove.
The most common answer I've heard through my friends who make art is because I have to. But yeah, I think it's in your blood. It's like, why do people write, or why do we do anything? You're motivated. It's part of your personality.
Why is art important?
Whatever is created by humans is a reflection of where we are. The Prime Minister of England during World War II, I always loved what he said, that any nation that doesn't have reverence and respect and support art has lost its soul. Which could be, if we were hold the mirror up now to American culture, it wouldn't, I would say, like, whew, God, needs some work. It's become like the exaltation of mediocrity.
I actually think it serves a purpose in society. I really do. And that it makes everybody think outside their box.
Yeah.
Not that the beautiful landscape or figurative studies that I do will make you think outside your box, but it gives you a different world. And I think that's what art's supposed to do.
Art is important because it really feeds something in you that you don't get anywhere else. And it's important for the world, and it's important for people to be able to see beauty, and it's important for people to be able to express beauty or a political statement, or for whatever reason drives you to make art.
Because it's a way of communication, it's a way of showing who we are, it's a way of experiencing the world.
What makes a great artist?
Well, that depends, because whether you're talking about how society views a great artist, or one might think of a great artist, you know, because a lot of people think, well, what makes a great artist is the amount of success they have. Whereas someone else might think, well, what makes a great artist? And it's like, well, how devoted they are to it. So you can have people that are extremely devoted to art and no one even knows who they are or has ever heard of them. Or maybe you don't discover them until after they're dead. And then you find this great body of art and you think, wow, this guy was freaking awesome, you know? Because you do, you know, the story everyone tells, of course, is like Van Gogh or whatnot, who got no recognition for his art, certainly wasn't considered a great artist during his time, but how do we think of him now?
Yeah.
And then you have other people that get all these accolades and everybody's like saying how great they are, and someone might look at them and say, what's so great? I don't really like his stuff, you know? I mean, so it's a matter of taste.
Yeah.
And I think society views the great artists as how much success they receive at the time. So I don't know, what makes a great artist? For me to answer that, I think devotion, just how devoted you are to your work, you know? I think the more devoted you are to it, then the more you deserve to be considered a great artist, regardless of what other people think.
Well, I think passion is a key ingredient. And like real passion that can overwhelm the room or overwhelm your being to the point of where you have to sit down and take some breath type passion. I think a great artist has to have all the skills and technique and discipline that comes with whatever they're doing.
I really don't know. I would hesitate to think that I am. I don't think I am, but I am an artist because I must be. And maybe a great artist has more focus and drive than I have. I don't know. I think it's luck of history that makes great art, that makes us look at people like Michelangelo or...
I have no idea.
No idea.
You know...
Money? It's not the value of something, or...
I like to think not, and certainly there are a lot of artists who make a ton of money whom I don't think are very good, or they're just selling some kind of shtick, you know.
It's kind of like interior designing art.
Yeah, and it's, I guess, authenticity is important, and it, you know, it has to come from your heart.
Yeah.
Not that you think you're going to get, you know, $50,000 for it.
Yeah, yeah. I think the art scene seems to be kind of a real political thing.
It is, and I think a lot of collectors wait to be told what they should like, and you know what they should buy, and I think that's very sad.
They have consultants that tell them.
They do, they do, and I love when I'm in the gallery. I love to watch people come in and fall in love with something. I think that is so cool that it touched them in, you know, in some way. And you know, I've had people walk out of the gallery and come back 2 hours later and say, "That piece was speaking to me. I just had to come back and get it." And that, you know, that's a marvelous feeling.
Yeah, yeah. What does artistic success mean to you?
I think it means you've just finished. People are laughing and crying, you're getting a standing ovation, and then somebody gives you money. Oh, but no, I think it's that, you know, there was one night after a show, and I said I got to hang out with painters. I got to hang out with Jim Wagner towards the end of his life. But he came to a show, and this was one of the most satisfying things for me. I mean, I adore him. I revered him as an artist. He was really kind to me. And he came up to me after the show, and he just took my hands, and he just looked in my eyes, and he went. And that was enough. That was enough for me. That was artistic success.
If you've done something you feel really good about.
That's it.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be selling it? Or
No, you know, that's nice if it does, but
Uh-huh.
gee, maybe you don't want to let it go because
Uh-huh.
it was an important piece for you and you really liked it.
Uh-huh.
But I think too, what's important is that feeling you get when your hand does something that didn't go through your mind,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and you know you went someplace else,
Yeah.
and you got this thing and you put it down. It's like, oh wow, that's fabulous. I love it.
Uh-huh.
You know, that's
Yeah.
one of the best feelings there is.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the most fun things you can do with your clothes on, you know.
I'm artistically successful. I can support myself, and I have done so for 25 years. Feast or famine, a lot of times.
sounds-
But that's
yeah.
it's, and I'm not wealthy, and I've lived by the seat of my pants for that amount of time.
Uh-huh.
But and there are people in various pockets of the world that know my name, but I don't know if that makes me a successful artist.
Well, there you go. Then artistic success would be notoriety, you know, people knowing
Yeah.
about you, knowing
Pretty
your
much the same.
name.
Yeah.
But then, you know, that requires a certain amount of involvement and, what do you call it, diligence, you know, discipline.
Mm-hmm. What does creative risk mean to you?
Well, I think anytime you take what you've done and put it out in the world, you know, hang it on a wall,
Uh-huh.
publish it and
Yeah.
put it in a
Yeah.
bookstore,
Uh-huh.
I think that's creative
Uh-huh.
risk because people are looking at your soul,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and they might love it and they might think, you know, it's the worst thing they ever saw or heard.
My work isn't risk taking, but creative risk to me is being an artist and not making it something on the side that I do because I like it.
Uh-huh.
To me, every day I wake up that I'm an artist and have nothing else to distract me is a creative risk. That's my creative risk.
Yeah.
Okay, creative risk. Actually, I was talking to David and Pat about this earlier. Was how I was talking about, because they asked what I did, and I mentioned photography, and I said, well, actually, when I was first printing, I would work with, I called it matrix photography because I would add several negatives into the enlarger, and I was working with 4x5, so everything was handheld size, stuff I could work on, not little 35 millimeter stuff. So I would put different sheets into the enlarger and work with that. And so I was always interested in trying to create dimension in my photographs, but when I would print them, it was still flat, you know, so I'd still end up with this flat image. And so I was talking about how, well, I was also a house painter, you know. So I'd come back at the end of the day and I'd have been painting and stuff, and I'd look at one of my photographs and I really thought, that's a terrible photograph. That's like terrible. So I had creative freedom with that photography, with that photograph. And I had my house paints and stuff, so I'd take my house paint and throw paint at the photograph and stuff like that. And, you know, I was telling Pat, and in the end, the photographs that were terrible ended up being my best pieces.
Yeah.
And that's what creative freedom is, when you're not attached to the piece and you just going with it.
You're going to make something that somebody just doesn't get and doesn't like. And are you able to handle it? You know, many a flower blooms unseen, you know. And that's what you risk as an artist. You risk rejection, but it's really not up to anybody to decide that for you. Like whether you're going to be good or bad.
Can anybody be an artist?
I don't think so. Because I think no matter how much talent you have, you can be an artist and be talented, but it takes a focus and a drive to live it. And to me, maybe you can be an artist and not live it. Maybe it's just being creative. But most people coming out of art school here in the United States are woefully unprepared They don't know anything to do. They don't know how to do the business of being an artist. They don't know that to me, it's 60% of the job. Creating the work is not even half of it. But to support yourself, to get your work out there, to do the business of art requires that you be able to talk about your work, talk about yourself, talk about you have to be able to write about yourself. You have to be able to stick your neck out when you don't want to.
Well, I think everyone is. Being one, committing to that is a whole other ball game. But I think we're born to be creative. I think it's that nature and the world itself and the universe reflects constant creativity. Death and life again, and winter to spring, it's all there in front of us. And I just think sometimes people feel they have to commit to something else, like a real job, a family, or sometimes creativity is beaten out of them by life or their dad, which is sad because they could take that. They could take that pain and turn it could become something.
Absolutely. And probably everybody is. They just don't know it. Or they're too humble to realize. Yeah, I would think. Because, like I was saying earlier, a chef, someone who cooks, someone who works with children, for Christ's sake, could be an artist. That they're an artist at how well they communicate with a child.
It really brings to mind the question about who is an artist?
Who isn't
an
an
artist?
artist, right, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All you have to do is decide you kind of want to do that and then pursue it. I don't see why anyone couldn't be an artist. I don't think Herschel Walker could be an artist. That would,
Keep that in there too.
that would really be a stretch, But I think most everybody could be, should they give themselves the freedom and the permission to pursue that.
I'd like to thank our guests and you for watching.
Boom, shakalaka.